What's going on, everybody? It's Pelfrey. And this is the Red Sea Reefer, and finally doing something that I should have done a long time ago. I got the radions about 6 feet above the tank. Luckily, I used the 80/20 light rack so I can move it up and down easily. But I'm finally going to take that right rock structure out of the tank and do something about it. It's been bugging me for far too long. Today's the day. So what I end up doing, I drained about 20 gallons of water out of the tank just to make it easier to pull the rock structure out. Obviously, the structure is going to hold water as you pull it out. And, you know, I didn't want to break the glass or scratch the glass or do anything like that. So I chose to drain as much water as I could, which meant I had 4 buckets that I could drain. And then I have the rubber tote to put the rock structure in to move it out into the garage. Pulling it out was relatively easy. Obviously, it's one structure. I used E-Marco 400 cement to make both the rock structures. So all I had to do was grab it and pull it out. Now, I did use rubber gloves because I do have some bristleworms, and the last thing I want is to get stung or whatever they do. I don't want any of them to penetrate any of my fingers. So I did use rubber gloves to pull the rock structure out. It's important to note that anytime you're going to do anything like this, to keep in mind of the rock displacement, so you may need to add water. All I did was take the rubber tote with the rock structure out to my backyard. Luckily, it was a day that it was like 40 or 50 degrees. It wasn't too bad. You can see that it's covered in coralline algae. You can see that there's bubble algae. And then I just took a 3-pound hammer and broke it into pieces that were more manageable. What a mess this has been now. I'm not going to leave the rock structure like this, but I needed the displacement, number 1. Number 2, I need that rock in there just to seed the new rock. Now, this rock has been in the sump for a couple weeks, so it should be good to go. In preparation of all of this, I do have 10 gallons of fresh salt water mixed up. So I'm going to drain 10 gallons, pump 10 gallons back into it, and then add a little bit of this water back to the tank. I'm hoping to have enough salt to do another 10-gallon water change. If not, I'm going to have to order it, and I'll take care of that next week. Pump some fresh salt water back into the tank. Now, this 10-gallon brute can has been absolutely priceless for me. I don't mind carrying buckets, but the 10-gallon brute definitely has helped out. Thought about getting another one so that I could do the water change like that, but it's just easier to move 5-gallon buckets around. You know, I don't know what else to say except for the tank is a complete mess right now. I got the radions high up in the air just so I didn't hit them whenever I pulled that big old rock structure out of the tank. But yeah, I'm going to be working on it a little bit more. At this point, the the tank is an absolute mess. I am taking this opportunity to clean the gyre pump, so we got some warm water and vinegar, and I may actually take the pumps apart, but I'm going to let them run here for an hour or two, and then see how clean I can get them. The tank is obviously cloudy. I'm going to switch out the filter socks, but I did get it running again. I got some heat going to it. I got some flow going to it. And, you know, as far as the RESCAPE, it's not the most ideal situation. I do have the radions on my Radion View profile, by the way. I may actually pick up another one of these Marco pedestal pieces to put right here in the middle. I'm not really sure yet. But, again, I wanted to get these 3 pieces in here to help with the displacement due to the fact that I took that big rock structure out. And, you know, quite honestly, I probably only lost about 2.5 gallons total by taking that whole rock structure out. So I'm thrilled with it. The only real issue that I ran into was the fact that the Blenny decided to kind of hitch a ride with me as I took the rock structure out back. Aside from that, I popped the A-cans off of their rock structure. They're over here right now. I got a little colony, and they're quite mad. So, you know, I can't blame them. It's still probably 50 degrees outside, but they're supposed to be in water, and they weren't for a little while. But all in all, not really that bad. So it's really windy outside. You'll have to just bear with me for a moment. This sledgehammer, this mini sledgehammer, 3-pound sledgehammer, crumbled the rock. So I bought this like 4 months ago in anticipation of having to break that rock work up. and it definitely came through. I got these on my head. I most definitely wore safety glasses, and as a matter of fact, I kept my mouth closed. It's inappropriate. Reefer talked about that in one of his last videos. But this is the aftermath, and quite frankly, the mortar was very easy to, like where I had used the Marco E400 mortar, it was pretty easy to dismantle. Now, you'll see that's a bristle worm. That's a bristle worm. So I have a fair amount of bristle worms, and I did wear rubber gloves just because I don't want to get stung by one of them little buggers. That's a ton of bubble algae. There's more bubble algae. There's some rubber gloves that I wore and some pieces that I broke off that I was gonna try to get in the tank and I didn't. So, you know, it is what it is. I will probably throw away these towels here. And the only reason I put everything, or put the towels in here, is because this tote that I have here actually has a crack in the bottom of it. And whenever I pulled the rock structure out, I did not want to create more of a mess for myself as far as dropping water all over the ground of the house. So I brought it out here immediately. I put the new pedestal piece in, and then I ran back out here and started breaking these pieces up so that I can get them back into the tank. But again, I said it a second ago, I thought this was gonna be way worse than it was, and it really wasn't that bad. So I need to figure out what to do with these extra pieces of rock. I'm not gonna keep them, but I really don't want to throw them in my trash can, but that's probably where they're gonna go. Throw these towels away, get this tote cleaned up, and just kind of clean up my mess. Behind the scenes look, I know I said I didn't know what I was gonna do with the towels, but there's a bristle worm right there on the towel, and the last thing that I want is to put this in the washing machine. Something happened and that damn thing live and get me or one of my kids or something, but I just threw the rock rubble and the towels in here. Towels are a lot cheaper than a hospital trip for something that I may or may not remember whenever it would happen to the kids. So I'd rather play on the safe side here. I did my best to coordinate this with the whole rock moving with me making water. So this is full. I took 10 gallons out of this for the first water change. I went ahead and topped off my auto top off with 5 more gallons, and then I took another 10 gallons out of this. So I didn't want to mess with the reserve. I wanted to go ahead and have this full with 80 gallons, 40 and 40. That way I didn't waste 25 gallons of my reserve. So now this should last me probably through the winter. Probably still a little heavy on the blues, but I do have the gyre pump in the bucket that belongs on this side here. Need to pull it out and kind of scrape it a little bit, but I did clean the glass on the inside and outside. I do have the Tunze strong magnet over there, but again, this is kind of what it looks like. I did put some new filter socks in the tank to help polish the water a little bit. This little acan colony is starting to look a little bit better. It was quite agitated not very long ago. There's what's left of a frog spawn just hanging on there. But so this is a piece of rock, that's a piece of rock, and that's a piece of rock, and all of them are separated. And I've just kind of got this top piece set in there, and you're gonna see, you know, hopefully I don't see any algae issues with the new rock, because this rock was in the sump for about 3 weeks. And you know, we may very well see some algae issues on it, but it shouldn't take very long for that white rock to turn purple. Pretty excited about it, pretty happy about it. Can't wait to see what happens with the new RESCAPE. I do like the new structure and how it's lower anyway. Now mind you, like I said, this is not permanent situation here. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I didn't want to take these rocks out just because they are what I would consider live rocks at the moment. And not only that, but the water displacement, I just didn't have enough water. So I did do a 10-gallon water change, and again, I'm planning on doing another 10-gallon water change to kind of help out with everything that got moved around and shuffled around in the tank. But everything seems to be pretty happy, pretty satisfied. I'm pretty happy, pretty satisfied. And that's going to be about it for this one. Appreciate you following along. Be sure to check me out on Instagram at Pelfrey's Brief. Check out the website at pelfrey.net. And I'll catch you on the next one.